Hi there.
Howdy.
Hey, would you be willing to talk to me on camera for about 5 minutes on a personal belief?
Sure.
You would? Cool.
Yep.
My name is Lucas. What's yours?
Mark.
Hi, Mark. Nice to meet you. Thanks. Let me get this thing. Make sure we're going. So I'd like to talk to people about deeply held beliefs. What kinds of things do you believe? It could be God, ghosts. So what does this represent to you?
Third Reich.
Okay. Interesting.
I believe there's going to be a fourth.
Yeah? And
My father's grandfather was an SS guard at Auschwitz.
oh, really?
So I've got Nazi blood right in here.
Yeah.
And I believe in that Aryan race.
Really?
White power. White supremacy. Take care of all the trash in the world. Get rid of them.
And so you are a, what, second generation American then?
Mhm.
Or first?
Second,
Second.
third, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents came over here during World War II
Mm-hmm.
to get out of Germany because of the Nazi. They knew they were losing the war,
Oh, okay.
so that's why they bugged out of there. And my father stayed because he was a soldier in the army.
Right. Do you think that he knew what their goal was and
My father knew everything.
yeah. Was
So
he
did my mother.
he was a guard, you
Yes,
said.
my grandfather, my father's father,
Right. At Auschwitz? Is
at
that what you-
Auschwitz.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
When all the other generals and colonels started leaving and doctors and stuff that knew the war was coming to an end,
Right.
they secretly got out of there.
That was your
My parents.
oh, okay, your
My parents,
left.
uncles,
So they were
aunts.
adults at the time?
Yes.
Yeah,
mhm.
okay.
And they're in their 20, 21.
Right. Okay. Around your house, like when you, if you don't mind, I hope you don't mind getting personal.
Mm-mm.
Around your house when you were growing up, like, how did you come to these beliefs that, like, the white race is the superior race and
My
that kind of
father
thing?
and mother and uncles. And we didn't have Thanksgiving, didn't have Easter. We had Christmas,
Mhm.
and they would come over. They were real old. I remember they were older, a lot older than my father, you know. And they spoke fluent German, didn't speak any English.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know how they got their citizenship or whatever, but I never heard a word of English at all.
I understand, like, the idea of national pride. Like, I understand that somebody could certainly be proud of Germany or their homeland or whatever. But when you heard the German being spoken, did that give you an idea that, like, what did you think about that?
I just thought it was normal
Okay. And
until I got into school, and I had to learn English when I was in school.
oh, so you spoke German?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So you knew what they were saying.
Yeah.
And what was the?
English wasn't spoken around the house.
I see.
Not at all. When you come home, you speak German.
Right.
The only time I spoke English was at school or with friends.
Mm-hmm. And so, what
Grew
kind
up on
of
a farm.
what kind of things would your family say? Well, when they would talk about the superiority of white people, say.
Well, when us kids were in the back rooms and that during Christmas, and stuff like that, the parents would get together and go in a room, and I'd hear words about SS, concentration camps, Jews, Slavs, Russians, bad races of people. That's what they were saying.
What can you give
That
me?
abolished the German nation.
Is that what their primary concern
Mhm.
was? Was that they felt like they were being diluted?
Because there was German people and there were Nazis.
Mhm.
You know, not all German people
Sure.
believed in Nazism, but my parents did.
What are the? Do you know what the tenets of National Socialism is? What of Nazism was?
National Socialist Workers Party.
Okay.
That's
Which
what Nazi stands for.
what does that? What does it mean? What does the what does the
means-
party stand for? What
The
are their
party stands for the
ideals?
working class people of Germany.
Mhm.
And the production, the manufacturing, factory workers, farmers,
Right.
all hardworking German people. And all hardworking German people were white.
Okay. So there were in their experience, in their estimation. Sorry about that. Shoot, turned off this thing. So in their experience or in their estimation, there were no, say, foreigners or people of color that would work equally hard.
No.
That kind of thing.
No. Where I lived, it was all white farmers all around us.
Do you think
all German farmers?
Where did you grow up, if you don't mind me asking?
Northern Wisconsin.
Northern Wisconsin. Okay. So were you like dairy farm?
Yes,
Yeah.
dairy farm. Yes.
Interesting. Okay, cool. My
And
good
worked
friend was a
for the
dairy
minute
farmer.
you could walk. You worked,
Yeah, sure.
and you worked and worked and worked. I come down here, and this is the laziest, most worthless race of people I've ever seen down here. No common sense, no work ethic, lazy bums all over the place. Get rid of them. Exterminate them, all of them. Put them in a concentration camp and get rid of them.
So you really feel that way? You really
Yes, I
feel
do.
like we should
Mm-hmm.
kill them,
Yes.
not send them back? Why?
Deport all the illegal immigrants. You give them 3 months to get out. They don't get out, you exterminate them. You have a chance. They did that with the Jews. The Jews knew what was coming. They gave them time to get out. A lot of them did get out.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
a lot of them wanted to stay, and that's, you're going to pay.
So, like from an autonomy point of view, this is kind of a
What does autonomy mean?
from like my self-determination. Let's say I was, I don't know, Mexican, and somebody gave me 3 months to leave, and I said, well, wait a minute, this is my home now. I've made my home here, and I work hard, and I live here. So autonomy means my ability to control myself, I guess. To have.
First thing out of my mouth would be, show me your papers.
So
You have to have papers with you at all times.
And
in case you get stopped.
And if I could do that,
Then they'd look over your papers, and if you can be used in a labor, you live. If you don't, you either get deported or death.
you're talking about a massive global shift in
Massive.
things.
Mhm. That's why the United States is going to pot. There's too much crap around.
Yeah. So
We need a strong government.
right. Our 5 minutes is up. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm happy to keep talking if you are. You want to keep going? Okay. So right now there actually seems to be some kind of movement towards what you're talking
Right.
about with the election of
With
Trump and
exactly.
yeah. So
Obama wants to close Guantanamo Bay
mhm,
and release all these guys, and Trump wants to keep it going and put more in.
right.
I'm all for that.
So why do you know
Retain.
why Obama wanted to close it?
Because he feels those people have been held long enough and they need to be released. And if that happens, there'll be more terrorism and everything. There was no terrorism in Germany.
Right. Well, that's true.
You know,
Terrorism does seem to be a
There should be one law for everyone. That should be it. If you don't abide by the law, you get executed.
So knowing that in fact, all of the people that are in Guantanamo came from a different country, many of
Mhm.
those were combatants, either lawful or non.
And they're in there for a reason. And in all death prisons, if you're on death row, you got like a week, execute them, get rid of them, gas them, exterminate them, cremate them, get rid of them.
So
Not all these guys 5, 6, 10 years on death row. If you're committed an eye for an eye, you kill somebody, you're put to death.
So what if somebody gave you like a portfolio or like a document that said, okay, here's all the guys in here, Mark, and can you look through these lists and decide which ones of them we should get rid of? Would you be willing to look at the information in there and say, okay, look, this guy, they just saw him crossing the road. There was no IED nearby. They just picked him up because he looked kind of funky. Would you be able or willing to make the decision to exterminate that guy, or would you say
if he had the correct papers?
Well, he would.
If he had no
in his
papers with-
homeland, I'm assuming.
Well, if he doesn't have them on him, concentration camp.
So, like, okay.
Put them on a train, take them to a concentration camp. Lots of places out here in the desert to build huge concentration camps.
As a matter of fact, during World War II, the racetrack that I used to work at
Yeah, I
on
heard
the
it.
west side had Japanese internment camp there.
Mhm.
But knowing that, like, after World War II, when we released those Japanese, immigrants, many of whom were American citizens, it didn't matter. It was just your heritage. A lot of them obviously said, "Hey, this is my country. This is the only land I've known. I might not have exactly the same ideals or ideas as you, but this is my home, the only home I've ever
There were a
known."
lot of German Jews, a lot of German Slavs, Russians.
Yeah. All of them, huh?
Hmm.
Why does that solution seem appealing to you?
It would have worked. I think so. We wouldn't have such mess in the world today.
I mean,
It would have been doctored by military, but I don't know, that's the way it was when I was growing up. Strict order.
and
No ifs, ands, or buts. Order.
is that always good?
Yes, I think so. There's one order, and that should be followed by everyone. If you disobey the orders, you suffer the consequences.
So what about like, this is going to sound a little weird, but like personal creativity. Take Led Zeppelin, for example. If Led Zeppelin grew up on a farm with you, if Jimmy Page had grown up on a farm with you, he would have never picked up a guitar. And so the question is, like, if we just have to do what our parents tell us to do.
He could be used. If German people like music.
Sure, but but maybe he wouldn't have known to.
Well, that's just the way it rolls, I guess.
Right.
If you can be useful to the country in some way, that's good for you. That's a plus for you. If you can be used for something to better your country, that's good for you. If you're just another cog in the wheel and just taking up space, that's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Does that include, like, are you useful if you just have a job? Like
Depends on what the job is for. If the job is useful to the government, to the nation, yes.
Like, even, what if I'm just a Circle K clerk or something like that?
Well, you got to have gas stations, I
Sure,
guess,
right.
stuff like that.
Is there anything...
Armament factories will be big. Build an army, huge.
So what?
And that would create thousands of jobs.
Well,
military.
It would put people to work, but
Mm-hmm.
then what? Do you imagine that we would go conquer the world?
We should.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. Hitler would have won the war if he would have kept his pact with Stalin.
Yeah.
He would have won. He would have conquered the whole world.
I actually don't know much about the demise of.
But he got greedy.
Plans. Oh, really?
And he needed the oil fields and all the consumption that Russia had. So then he turned on them to get more, to build his army even bigger. But if he would have kept that pact with Russia, and look how big Russia is, with millions upon millions of soldiers.
Sure.
And if he would have sided with Hitler and Italy, we would have just brushed them away.
Yeah.
But they could have conquered the whole United States, Canada, Great Britain, everything.
Yeah.
With the military power, and the majority was people.
Sure.
Thousands and millions of soldiers.
Just plain hard work.
Yeah.
Digging in and shooting people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And once people get used to that, it's not that big of a deal. There's order. You have to, and there's a certain power to that.
So do you think Hitler was a intelligent strategist or a good leader?
At first, till he started losing his mind. Doctors were pumping him full of so much drugs and everything that he just started going crazy. Even the generals, he had some super generals, and he turned on them, and they gave him a choice to either execution or take their own lives, and because they just didn't agree with him, a lot of the things he was saying. That's what so many people tried to kill him in the end.
So,
but at first he brought the people back. Everybody loved him, and when they were in depression and recessions,
sure, yeah,
he brought the German people back strong.
He gave them a lot of hope.
Yeah, when they had nothing.
And in the end, it didn't really work out very well for them.
That's because of the Red Army.
Yeah. So I mean, thinking about it, Hitler to me kind of took like this rock star trajectory, right?
Mhm.
Kind of kind of a normal guy with some political ideas. He became famous. That power got to his head, and then he went a little cuckoo, right? What would stop the next leader from doing that? Like, if that seems to happen it happens to rock stars, it happens to leaders of closed regimes like
Assassination
Hussein's.
attempts on him.
Yeah.
People try to kill him.
Well, nobody could.
The high power in the military would try to get rid of him, like they tried to do with Hitler.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
but they failed every time. Hitler had to kill himself.
Yeah.
Hussein ended up, hiding in a hole for months. The Kims are still in power in North Korea.
Yeah, you learn by history. You learn by mistakes of history.
So
And the next one's gonna come back, and he's gonna realize and know all of this. Gonna
Well-
be ways to avoid it, I think.
But what happens if, like, the government starts doing those kinds of things? They show us their nice side, but on the truth of the matter is they're actually doing horrible things.
That's what they tried to have the German people believe, that they were doing so good, and
Right.
a lot of people didn't know exactly what was going on. But you can't tell me there's a concentration camp burning bodies in Scottsdale and you don't know about it in Phoenix.
Yeah.
They knew about it, but they
knew
just
something
played dumb.
was going on.
Yeah,
right.
they weren't there. They heard stories about it. They seen the smoke, but hey, I was working in a factory. I'm working my farm. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. And how do you think you would feel if you knew that, 2 blocks away there was a concentration camp where hundreds were being murdered every day?
I think to myself, there has to be a reason. There must have been a darn good reason for it. As long as they didn't bother me, I'm fine. Let them do whatever they want.
So this is the government who would be deciding that there is a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had experience with the government where they have, I don't know, put forward a complaint or an issue and you have not thought, you didn't feel like that was correct, that they were making a mistake?
I got sent to prison for involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah?
Beat a guy up in the back of a bar and he died. It was a bar fight. He was a biker, I was a biker. A lot of friends were there. A lot of his friends were there.
Mutual combat.
It's something that happens. Happened all the time when I was young. Bar fights. It happened all. I must have had 20 disorderly conducts. I'd carry money in my boot to bail myself out. My friends would meet me downtown at the comp shop, and 2 hours later I was back in the bar again. But sooner or later it caught up to me. I didn't agree with it. I served 6 years out of a 10-year sentence in Minnesota, federal penitentiary in Minnesota. You do the crime, you got to do the time.
Sure.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I
agree
admit
that.
I shouldn't have. It was a two-sided thing, but I got caught with the rap, so I just bite the bullet and do it.
So what about, say, a situation where you got in the bar fight and you know that you didn't kill the guy, but 2 hours later he drops dead from a heart attack or something, whatever, and they took you to prison for that without a trial. How would you?
Well, he must have known somebody that's what put me away. He had a sister in the feds in Jersey, and that's how it got to federal government, and they pinned it on me. They must have known somebody up higher up that it came down that strong.
Oh, wow.
Because even my lawyer took me in a room. First it was just state, county, state of Wisconsin versus me.
Right.
But then when you get the papers of the United States of America versus you, then you're screwed. But I got a lot of biker friends that went to prison. I got a lot of higher up biker friends that split and left the country.
Mm-hmm.
Germany, Holland, Europe, wherever they are. Nobody really knows.
Right.
They got out of there in a hurry when they started raiding the clubhouses and stuff like that. They just split.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just it's a hard, rough lifestyle. I grew up that way, and I believe power will rule the world. You've got to have a strong government and a strong military. There is no ifs, ands. You do what you're told.
And
A lot of these people down here don't. I mean, just suck it up and do it. Nobody likes working. Well, you gotta work to live. You gotta pay bills in order to keep the electricity and your phone going.
right.
And these people just want to lay around and don't do nothing. So many people I meet down here just have no common sense whatsoever. I told them we should ship them on a train back to Wisconsin for a couple of months and see how good you got it down here. Learn you some work ethic and responsibility and the change of temperatures where you gotta get your shit together or you're gonna die. We don't have food stamps. We don't have free insurance. We don't have free phones.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything down here is free. No wonder you got so many bums running around. We don't have that back home. You don't work, you're gonna die when the winter comes.
Yeah, I didn't know about the free stuff.
Yeah.
When so for you, like how much of your beliefs is based on that you think white people are superior, and how much of it is based on not wanting to see people get shit for free?
Just the way I was brought up, I think. Hard work. If you want something, you got to work hard for it.
So,
and you'll get it. If you can't get it, work harder.
You could be black, Indian, Muslim, and work hard.
Yeah, but those are far and in between. I'd say one out of 100 Mexicans I've seen down here is a good worker.
So it's possible.
Even my boss is Mexican. He's the laziest piece of shit I ever saw.
But it is possible, in other words.
I guess, yeah. You'd have to, interrogate them and see what they got. I can tell by talking to people, and first impressions are the best impressions. I can just look at somebody and say, well, look at this bag of shit.
Right.
Watch this, and he'll come, how's it going? I can tell right away the guy ain't gonna work for crap.
Right.
He's probably been scamming his whole life. And the drugs put an end to all the drugs. All the drug dealers. So much drugs down here, it's unbelievable. Jesus. You gotta put an end to that.
How do you feel about marijuana?
I don't really. Well, it's got its pluses and minuses. You never heard anybody got pulled over for high driving or smashing into a car, or killing a bunch of people because he was high on marijuana. It's always amphetamines or alcohol or something,
If you did hear about somebody that, say, plowed through a school bus of school kids because they were high on pot, would that change your mind on marijuana?
Extermination, execution, right away. He took the lives of young children. Children come first.
Of course.
Of everything.
I agree with you.
And if you took children's lives, then you're gonna go.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
One. So not so much about the drug in that case, but about your personal responsibility.
Yeah, that's what I was taught when I was young. You're not like everybody else.
Would that be true of, say, meth too?
Yep, all of them hard drugs, heroin, cocaine. All of that.
I guess what I'm asking is, like, if I wanted to do meth on the weekends and it worked fine for me, but then
as long as you didn't get caught doing it.
Yeah.
If you keep it under wraps and you can get away with it and not get caught doing it, more power to you.
Right.
As long as you don't get caught. I know people that drink, but only drink on the weekends. Or drink a couple before supper when they get home, and they've been doing it for 50 years.
Yeah.
Never got any trouble, never got a drunk driving, never got a ticket. Just they know how to handle it.
Of course. So, but in the case of alcohol, right, it's legal. You can just walk in.
Right. Yeah. That's.
But say meth or marijuana.
No, you gotta. Yeah. I don't like these where they got all these pot. We don't have that back home.
Dispensaries.
Yeah.
Oh, they're coming though. They're.
Yeah. You can. I'm sure you can get it.
Yeah.
It's big with the bike clubs. All the drugs, the way they make a lot of money. I never made. Delta made money off it. But.
Yeah.
But if that's the way they can make money, and if you don't get caught, to me, money is money. I don't care if you're a hitman for the mob, an axe murderer, a drug dealer. You go and buy a car, where'd you get the money? They don't ask where you got the money. They just want to see the money.
Right. So, all right. Well, I will get out of your hair. I really appreciate the conversation.
A little bit.
Okay. Cool. Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.